Hi, my name is Lisa Robyn Wood and I'm the founder of Grip Corporate Coaching, performance coaching and training for leaders, managers and individuals in London and Oxfordshire. In this little video today, I'm going to be talking about the power of failure and specifically the inspiration that I found from reading the written work of Elizabeth Day. Failure is something that I've come to learn over the course of the past few years and through my career is critical for success. They go together. You can't have one without the other. I absolutely love the acronym of FAIL, First Attempt in Learning, and I think this is so true. And I'm going to bring this to life a little bit with one of my own personal stories. So 6 years ago now, when I was training to become a qualified professional coach, I had to conduct an assessment which involved me coaching an individual with an assessor present so that they could essentially attest as to whether or not I was capable of being a coach, fulfilling the methods correctly and embodying the principles of being a great coach. And I failed the assessment. It was the first time I'd failed anything. I passed my driving test first time. That was actually a small miracle. I don't really know how I managed that. I passed all my GCSEs, my A-levels, I went to university, I got a good degree. I had never failed anything, and it was the most crushing moment at that point that I'd ever experienced. When I went through the feedback with the assessor, it was one of the most enlightening moments. The feedback was fantastic, that definitely helped, but I learned so much from failing that assessment. It really connected me with the process of coaching and the real point of it all, to be quite honest. And it was the most clarifying learning experience I'd ever had. I went on to immediately book a follow-up assessment, of which I passed with a distinction, and that was the best grade I'd had. And I still think about that moment and what it taught me and how much in that moment I learned compared to anything I learned in a classroom at any point during the whole of my qualification. So in respect of building on this notion of failure, I don't think I found anyone who states it so authentically, so honestly as Elizabeth Day. So I discovered Elizabeth Day in 2019 when I read her book, How to Fail, which I read in 24 hours. I was that gripped by it. I then went on to listen to her podcast of the same name, which is incredible. It's such a fantastic podcast. In the podcast, Elizabeth speaks to various guests about their top 3 failures. And then last year in 2020, I bought her follow-up book, Failosophy, which I've got here. And Failosophy is a little handbook, as it describes, for when things go wrong, and contains 7 principles of failure that Elizabeth has put together. It is the most beautiful, honest writing, as was How to Fail. It's very personal, hugely genuine, and really practical in terms of the tips that Elizabeth shares. I'm going to talk through one that resonates really clearly with me, which is Principle 7, which is being open about our vulnerabilities. And being open about our vulnerabilities as a source of true strength. And I'm going to read directly from the book. So Elizabeth writes, "The most valuable thing I have learned about failure is this, that when you choose to be honest about our own vulnerability, we forge the greatest sense of connection with others and the greatest strength in ourselves." And she goes on, "Deciding to face failure head on, to process it and learn from it in an honest and open way is the key to living a more authentic life." I absolutely love the principle of this particular chapter, this principle 7, about being open about vulnerability. I think in my experience, what I really have come to learn is that a core value of mine is being able to be myself, being genuine, being authentic. And a big part of that is being able to be vulnerable and really share what I'm about. And that includes the good, the bad, and the ugly. And actually, my coping mechanism to help me deal with things that happen to me is to talk about them, because I find strength in being able to share my problems with other people and to gain perspective on those problems because I'm sharing, but actually to find solidarity with others who have similar experiences, because it doesn't make me feel so alone, and it doesn't make me feel so alone in my own head, because I do think being trapped inside your own head with your own thoughts is a really dangerous place, because we're not kind to ourselves. I know I'm not kind to myself at the best of times. So actually, this notion of being vulnerable as a strength and enabling us to strengthen our relationships with others through doing so, I think is so true. And I think the way Elizabeth articulates it is so wonderful. I'm going to quote again from the book, and this is in the conclusion. So Elizabeth writes, "We are taught to believe that success is external. We are taught to believe that success will come to us with job promotions, wealth, fame, designer clothes, and super yachts. Success, we are told, is the ability to fly first class and accrue followers on Instagram and get tables at the hottest restaurants through the simple deployment of our name. We've been told that success is to be known by others, when in truth, the most meaningful success is to know ourselves." And then finally, "Failure had helped me shed that skin of not good enough. Failure had stripped me back and built me up. It had broken me down and challenged me to grow. Failure and learning how to deal with it had made me more, well, me. The greatest realisation was that when I was most myself, people responded. They, in turn, felt more able to be honest with me. That creates an unassailable connection. That is the solidarity of failure." If you want to learn more about this subject or would like to just talk about it with me, because I could talk about it all day, or please go and find Elizabeth Day. She's incredible. I wish she was my best mate. Then by all means get in contact with me. You can find me at gripcoaching.co.uk.